Zach, and today we're making shepherd's pie. By the time you're watching this, St. Patrick's Day has probably passed, but they had ground lamb on sale, so how could I resist? Alright, first of all, you're gonna need some kind of ground meat that's not plant-based. Generally, people seem to make this with either beef or lamb. My mom used to make it with beef. I actually hated shepherd's pie when I was a kid, but I've since changed my ways and now I'm excited for it. I've never had it with lamb before, but I heard that that's traditional, so we have, I am not giving away free promotions to this brand, but we have ground lamb here. It really doesn't say a whole lot on this package, so I don't know like what the fat ratio is. I'm sure it's gonna be great. Back to the rest of the ingredients. Parsley, rosemary, thyme, they're actually all in the same bowl. Salt and ground black pepper, again, in the same bowl. 1 tablespoon of W sauce, I am not going to try and pronounce that. Garlic, as you can see I have yet to chop it, we'll get there. All-purpose flour, which I sifted. I feel like my mom never did this when I was growing up. I feel like I'm calling out my mom a lot. I don't mean it in a bad way. But like when I was growing up baking, we didn't sift the flour and everything came out just fine. So if you don't have a sifter, I don't know if you need one, but it's fun to do, so there's that. 2 tablespoons of tomato paste. Now this was a bitch, by the way. You know how tomato paste comes in those little cans? I've never used it before and today was my first time. It was impossible to open. So if you don't already have tomato paste in the house and you're like me and you've never used it before, just buy the stuff in the tube. That's gonna be so much easier to work with. Or I'm the first person in the history of people to struggle opening tomato paste. I don't know, tell me in the comments. Next we want 1 cup of broth. The recipe says to use beef broth. I'm using vegetable. And I almost just spilled it. Okay, and then lastly, they say frozen peas and carrots. As you can see, mine are not frozen. That's not gonna stop me. I also thought it would be a lot of fun to like get some variety, because see here we have these rainbow carrots. I love them. They're so much fun. So so that's for the meat part of the shepherd's pie. Let's talk about the potato part. So obviously you need potatoes. I have 4 russet potatoes and they're growing eyes. This is really annoying to me because we just bought these a week ago and I'm pretty sure they were fine then, so it feels like they're just trying to like escape being cooked, but it's not gonna work. I'm going to eat them. Then they want a whole stick of butter. Now, we were just at the supermarket last night and I told Billy we don't need to buy butter today. We'll wait until we go to Costco. Then I got this recipe and realized I need a whole stick, so oops. Then we want 1/3 cup of half and half. I'm going to put this in the fridge until we're ready for it because I don't want it to get weird. And in this bowl we have garlic powder, salt, and pepper. Now the last ingredient that they say to use is 1/4 cup of Parmesan cheese. I'm leaving the cheese out. I feel like that's overkill and I've watched a lot of shepherd's pie videos now and it looks like not everybody puts cheese in theirs and I like mashed potatoes how they are, so no cheese for us. Now we're going to start. I'm going to chop up my carrots, cut up my onion, do whatever it is I have to do to the garlic, and then we will peel the potatoes as the last step so that everything's ready when we get to the stove. This is mise en place, I think is how you say it. It is French for get your shit together, and it's probably the most time-consuming part of cooking for me. But I will show you guys a fun time lapse, so get ready for that, and then I'll see you guys at the stove. I just finished mise en placing, whatever. All of the vegetables and shit are ready, so we are at the stove now. By the way, I'm like the only cooking channel now that doesn't have some B-roll of a flame turning on the gas stove. Is that important to you guys? Should I start shooting that? Sound off in the comments, but in the meantime, we're gonna turn on our flame and we're gonna add some, ooh, there's a drop of water. That's probably dangerous. We're gonna remove the drop of water in the hot pan while it's on, because that's super safe. Then we're gonna add some oil and cook our onions. I'm using olive oil if anybody wants to know, because that's what the recipe says to do. Oh, and someone said to salt the onions, I remember, in an earlier video, so we're gonna do that. See, the recipes never have those instructions, so you can see why some of us never learn. Although I did learn, I guess. Not from the food bloggers, from the comments section. So make sure if you are watching this and I make a mistake, please tell me. Criticize me as much as you want. There are no limits. Let's add a little salt. This comes out fast, so I'm gonna be careful. And as you guys can see, if you've watched my videos before, we have some different lighting going on. Mood lighting, if you will. I thought it would be fun. I know, you know, the lighting at my stove scenes is not always the best, and I'm working on it. It's kind of hard to tell when I'm shooting. I don't really notice until I'm editing, and obviously the right thing to do would be to film a test clip and then put that in the editing software and to see how it looks, but I always forget to do that. So this is very much a rinky-dink YouTube channel. Subscribe. I figured I should mention to you guys too. I know before I said that I was going to peel the potatoes before we got started at the stove, and then it dawned on me that they're going to be sitting there probably turning brown while we're cooking everything else, so peeling potatoes is relatively quick, even for me. I'm just going to do it before we're ready to throw them in the water. Now, these onions have not been in here that long, but they seem kind of soft already. Ooh, that's a big chunk. Alright guys, I think it's been about 5 minutes and it dawned on me that these onions are going to be cooked in the oven with everybody else, so if they're undercooked now, they sure won't be later. Now it's time for the exciting part. We're going to add in the lamb. Lamb's here. Oh, there's paper on it. Break this sucker up. Can you guys see? It's starting to brown already. Let me make sure I'm not supposed to add something else too. Okay, we want to add our herbs and salt and pepper. The good thing I checked. Salt's stuck. Not today, salt. In you go. I think it's helpful to talk to the ingredients. Stir well, cook for 6 to 8 minutes until the meat is browned, stirring occasionally. Well, which is it? Stir well or stir occasionally? We're gonna stir well. By the way, little tip. This might seem obvious to some people, but this spatula is really nice because it doesn't have any slots or holes in it, see? So we used to not have one like this, and then when I would make ground turkey or really any kind of ground meat, it would get like, the raw meat would get like stuck in the slots, and then I'd be like paranoid that I'm gonna kill us. So I ordered one of these on Amazon. We have like 3 of them now because I'm crazy, but if you're a beginner, which I imagine that's probably who's watching my channel, I don't know, get one of these kinds of spatulas for cooking ground meat. It's a lot better. And it's easier to clean too because you don't have gross little gunky bits of half-cooked meat. We're in the final stretch now, cooking the lamb. I watched this French chef on YouTube. It was actually really funny. He was making, I think he called it cottage pie, and it sounds like it's almost the same as shepherd's pie, but it was really funny because he started the video and he was talking about how cottage pie is better than shepherd's pie, and his mother always used to make cottage pie when he was growing up, and then throughout the rest of the video, he kept referring to it as shepherd's pie. So I think he was full of shit and his mother never made any of that. But other than that, he seemed like a nice guy. There's always a couple stragglers that refuse to turn brown. W sauce. Yeah. See, this is the only thing I don't like about grating my garlic. It gets stuck. Everybody's getting cooked today, whether they like it or not. What's next? Flour and tomato paste. I don't normally use flour this way. Alright, and we want to get rid of all clumps of tomato paste. Well, the flour did not create the kind of weirdness that I was expecting it to. Ooh, this is looking good. I'm getting so hungry. It's time for our peas and carrots and broth. And I forgot, I don't remember if I told you guys, the recipe said to use frozen corn, but like, that doesn't sound Irish to me, so I'm leaving it out. Also, the color of these peas is questionable at best, so I understand now why my mother didn't buy canned peas. But we're gonna use them because we've got them. Actually, I've got the rest of this can of peas plus the rest of that tomato paste, so I'm thinking I might make some Italian-style pasta and peas. I'm really excited, so tell me in the comments if you would want to watch that, but I'm probably gonna do it anyway. Okay, so we want to bring this liquid to a boil, it says. I feel like it should be stirred, so that's what I'm doing. Oh, this smells so good. There's really not a lot of liquid, so I don't know how it's gonna boil. It's like an Irish chili. All right, so I would consider this boiling, so then it says reduce to a simmer. So I turned the flame down. And we want this to simmer for 5 minutes, so I'm not messing around. I'm gonna set a timer. And we want to stir occasionally, and then we're gonna set this aside. So I'll see you guys when this is, I don't know, not cooking anymore. A quick update. I decided while we're letting this meat mixture simmer, I'm going to start heating up my water for the potatoes. I also wanted to mention to you guys, the recipe says to use about 2 russet potatoes is what they say. I'm scared skeptical. I got 4 because I don't want to run out of mashed potato. I would rather have too much than too little, but you guys will see. You'll see how many potatoes it really takes. Okay guys, the timer just went off and I just wanted to show you really quickly what the meat is looking like right now. It smells pretty good. It looks pretty good. I just turned the flame off and we're gonna set it aside because that's what the recipe says to do. So I have my water heating up now. Once it's boiling, I'm going to peel the potatoes and throw them in, and I guess I'll show you what that looks like. So I'll see you then. Okay guys, my phone is getting a thorough steaming because the water is boiling. So we're gonna add the potatoes and I'm going to show you, because what kind of a YouTuber would I be if I didn't? So I'm gonna set a timer for 10 minutes and then we'll check on them, but I will see you guys next when we're ready to actually mash the potatoes. Okay guys, the potatoes ended up needing closer to 15 minutes before I felt like they were fully cooked, so now we have them in a bowl. I let them sit for a full minute. Once I put them in the bowl, I used my spider, by the way. I didn't use a strainer. It's just easier. So we add all the ingredients and mash. I wasn't sure if we should mash first. So, half and half. Like worried that the heat would curdle it or something. I don't know. Ooh, our butter's very soft now. I took it out of the fridge when we started. Oh, and the spices. Done. I also have my hand mixer over here. You're probably gonna need to use this. This is a lot of butter, considering that I added more potatoes than they said to use. This is not getting smooth until I use the hand mixer, so let's stop wasting time. Ooh, this smells good. These look like my mom's, so I think we're done. All right, guys, this is the most exciting part now. Well, actually, no. The most exciting part is when we taste it, but this is pretty close. So we are now going to fill my baking tray. Hang on, there's some shit on the table. I'm gonna bring the meat mixture over. We're gonna pour that. Well, I don't have to tell you. I'll show you. All right, meat mixture in. Okay, this does not fill out the whole pan. We'll just make a smaller shepherd's pie. Was I really supposed to buy a whole new pan just to make this one recipe? I'm not doing that. Just try to make it even. Fill in any holes. Aw, man, we messed it up. See, now, I made more potatoes than they said, but I like this ratio, I think. You need to be thumbnail pretty, or we have to pretend you never existed. You know what? This little naked bit will be perfect for Billy because he doesn't even really like mashed potatoes. All right, we're just gonna eat this last bit. I make a mean mashed potato, even if I only make it about once a year. All right, I'm waiting for the oven to preheat, then I'm gonna throw this in. It says 25 to 30 minutes. I think we'll give it 30. So I'll see you guys when it's time for the taste test. We did not accomplish that kind of crust that you usually see on a shepherd's pie. I'm gonna guess my potatoes are maybe too thick or too creamy, but you know what? It is 8:30. It's Tuesday. I'm starving. I'm sure Billy's starving, even though he won't admit it. So we're not putting this back in the oven. We're waiting for it to cool and then we're gonna eat it. So there is already rosemary in this. This is more of a garnish for plating purposes and it covers the crack in yours. I also intentionally gave you the part with less mashed potatoes because I know you don't like them. It's still very hot, I'm glad. It said to let it sit 15 minutes and I was worried it was gonna be cold. Hot. Oh man, I like it. I didn't get that much of the meat in my first bite.
It's interesting, but I don't think I'm a fan of the lamb.
So if I had made this with beef, you think maybe you would like it?
Probably. I think it's the lamb I don't like.